Most AI generated blog posts completely fail. They might know how to get a lot of viewers, but they don't know how to convert those viewers to sales. This is because using only AI is just not enough. You need to be good at psychology, sales, and prompting in order to create a good AI generated blog. Which is why in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to supercharge your blogs using n8n, Claude, and ChatGPT. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Here is the workflow that we're going to be building today. Now, if you'd like to skip the tutorial and just download the workflow, I do have a link to download it down below in my blog, which by the way was AI generated. So be sure to check that out. Let's do a brief overview of the flow. In this first section, all I'm doing is I'm gathering information. Now, this is going to look different for you guys and for everybody else. It doesn't really matter where you grab information from. It could be an RSS feed, it could be a video transcript, it could be another article, it could be a prompt from an AI. It really doesn't matter, but essentially all we're doing is we're grabbing some sort of information in order to feed the AI so that it knows what it's writing about. In this case, what I'm using is a video transcript. In this section, we're breaking the article down into smaller pieces. Each piece serves a very specific function in the article. First, we have the title, which is designed to grab the viewer's attention and make him want to click on the blog. Then we have the intro, which is designed to hook the reader and make him want to read until the end of the blog post. Next, we have our main article content. Here is where we have to solve some sort of problem or make some sort of resolution. And then finally, we have our outro, which is specifically designed to get the readers to perform some sort of call to action, whatever that might be. Now, because I'm posting multiple different types of blog posts, I split this workflow into different sections for each type of post. I recommend that you guys do the same depending on what type of content you guys would like to post. This part up here is for coding tutorials. This part down here is for normal tutorials. And this workflow down here is specifically for podcasts. In each of these sections of the workflow, we're formatting the article to look beautiful on WordPress. We're formatting the intro and outro separately. We're generating any tags and any categories the blog might need. And then we're finally pushing the final product to WordPress. It would be at this point that if you wanted to use any images throughout your article, you would grab them using Pixels API, or you would generate them using Midjourney and Go API. That being said, for these articles, I didn't need any images. However, I will be covering that in some later videos for you guys. In order to follow along with this tutorial, you guys will need to connect Claude and ChatGPT via API. So I'm going to show you guys really quickly how to do that. Then we'll get to the juicy parts where I build the workflow with you guys. Jumping straight into n8n, let's go ahead and click this arrow up here. Click on Create Credential and type OpenAI. Click on this one, click Continue. Then we'll go over to platform.openai.com/API-keys. Link in the description down below. Let's go ahead and create a new secret key. Call it whatever you want. Copy that key. Go back over to credentials. Paste that in. And you should be good to go. Now click on that arrow one more time. Click Create Credential. Type in Anthropic. Click Continue. This time we're going to go to console.anthropic.com/settings/keys. Click on Create Key. Select the workspace. Call it whatever you want. Copy that key. Go over, paste that key in, click Save, and you're good to go. Diving straight into the workflow, let's go ahead and start with importing the right information. Now this one, as I mentioned previously, is importing YouTube transcripts. However, you can grab whatever information you want, so just keep in mind that this should be customized to you. That being said, I'm going to dive in and show you guys exactly what we're doing here. So we have on-form submission here. I have some authentication. I'm not going to show you guys that because those are login credentials. And this is for the blog importer. What we're importing is a transcript, which is a file of typed text, and that is required. We have the YouTube video URL, which is also a text. We have any related links for the video, which is a text area. That one is not required. And then we also have an n8n workflow if needed, and that one is a type JSON, and it's also not required. And here we are responding when the form is submitted. Next, what we're doing is we're extracting the transcript text. Now, all we have to do is make sure that this name here, transcript, is the same name that we put here, transcript, and it should be good to go. And then this is the output that it will put after this node. Then we have a quick workflow here to check and see if there is a workflow that I attach to it. Then we're going to extract the information from the n8n workflow. Again, make sure that this text here is the same as this text right here, and that'll output as workflow. And if it does not exist, then we're just going to format the information here. So we've got workflow and links, and down here again we have workflow and links. The difference being is workflow is now empty so that we can process it properly throughout the rest of the workflow. Then we add one final edit node here to format the data really nice and easy for all of the rest of the nodes to be able to grab from that data and use the data in any way that they need. So we have our transcript, our workflow, our links, and our YouTube link. So now I'm gonna go ahead and run this with some test data and pin some data right here so I can show you guys how that works. So I went ahead and uploaded a little bit of test data. I didn't upload a workflow here. I'll show you guys that here in a little bit. I want to show you the simpler flow first so you can understand how it works. Then we'll build complexity as time goes on. Now the final data right here looks like this. We have our transcript here. We have the workflow, which is empty object. We have some links here. I didn't have any links in this particular video, so I just put testing.com. And then we have the link to the YouTube video right here. This is where the workflow starts to get juicy. First, we're going to generate the title. Now, this is an AI agent node, so go ahead and find that on the list. Once you find it, we're going to jump in and we're going to define our prompt. So your job is to make a compelling title and slug based on the script provided below. The title should draw curiosity for the user to click on the article. The title should be representative of what the article is about. If it is a tutorial, try to be clear of what the tutorial is about. The title is for a blog. The slug should be relatively short. Do not mention a video. And then what I did was I provided the transcript, which I just dragged and dropped like that. Now, in order for this to work, we also have to make sure that require specific output format is true. And then this little message will pop up. You can click on it. And you want to add the structured output parser. So right now the workflow should look like this. Double click the structured output parser, and we're going to put it like this: title as a string and slug as a string, just like that. And then we're going to add our Anthropic chat model. On the Anthropic chat model, we're going to make sure that we're on the newest version of Sonnet. All right, so now we have a title: How to Build AI Agents from Beginner to Expert Guide, and a slug: Build AI Agents Beginner Expert Guide. Next, we need to generate the intro paragraph. You can go ahead and copy and paste the AI agent node that we used before. And this prompt is the most important prompt in the entire workflow. This paragraph right here determines whether the reader will stay and read the whole blog or whether he will leave. So it's really important that we get this right, which is why I spent a lot of time building this prompt and testing this prompt. Now, I do have the prompt down in my blog below, so you guys can check it out, copy and paste it. So I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I will explain essentially how it works. In this part, we're explaining to the GPT that we're going to be using NLP and psychology to grab the viewer's attention and cause him to want to read more. We're using a context lean in to establish relevance, a scroll stop interjection to create surprise, and a contrarian snapback to deepen curiosity. Now, if you guys want to learn more about those terms, go ahead and search that up in another YouTube video or in some books. There's a lot of literature about it, and it works. In fact, it works so well that you guys are still sitting here because I use that to generate the hook for this YouTube video. Next, I break it down into a 3-step formula teaching the AI how to use it in order to create a good intro paragraph. I give a quick example, and then I give it some guidelines on how I would like it to talk. I tell it that it needs to use shorter staccato sentences. I tell it that each sentence needs to be a different length so that the viewer doesn't get bored of kind of having a monotonous tone. And then I tell it to generate the intro paragraph based on the transcript below, and I drag and drop that transcript right in there. One thing we do need to change before we test it is the output parser. This one, I'm just doing intro as a string. So let's go ahead and test it out. And we got a pretty good paragraph here. You guys can pause the video and read that in your own time. Now it's time to generate the meaty part or the main part of the article. So we can copy and paste this over again, but with one crucial difference. We're going to disable the required specific output format, and we're going to delete the structured output parser. Now, why are we doing this? Because the main article content is usually so long that it can't be formatted well in a structured output parser. So I generally leave it blank so that the AI can just output the article as it wants. This prompt is not as complicated as the last one because the AI does pretty good at writing about a specific topic, especially if you already give it some information to use. All I'm doing is giving it some general guidelines, telling it that it needs to be more than 500 words, not to make an intro, a title, or an outro. I'm telling it here to add links to the article in a very specific spot so that the users can use those links as resources in the article. And then here I'm providing the transcript, the useful links, the pre-generated title, and the intro paragraph that was already generated. So all I did was drag and drop the intro just like that. Drag and drop the title right there just like that. Drag and drop the transcript up here. And the links, I dragged them here. Now this one's good to go, so let's go ahead and test it out. And as you can see, it included the useful links in the part of the article that I told it to. And then it wrote a general article about the topic that I provided, which is good. And finally, we have the outro to the blog. So copy and paste the intro one for the outro. I'm going to show you the structured output parser first. All you have to do here is change intro to outro. Then we'll check out the prompt. This is where we have to create the CTA. Now the good thing is the AI kind of already knows how to format a CTA. It's pretty decent at it. So this prompt also does not need to be too large. Basically, I'm telling it, hey, your responsibility is to make an outro paragraph. It needs to be a conclusion to the article. And then I provided the CTA that I wanted it to include in the article. If you think that building with these AI agents is a bit complex and you would like a little bit more support, I am offering a free WhatsApp community for anybody who wants to learn more about AI and automation, so be sure to check out that link down below. Then I provide the title, the intro paragraph, and the main blog content. So I just dragged and dropped from here. I dragged and dropped from here, and then here I dragged and dropped from here. I'm no longer providing the transcript. It's just going to make the AI a little bit confused. Let's go ahead and test it out. So here's where the AI decided to transition from the outro paragraph into the CTA portion, and it did a pretty good job. But remember, this is just the beginning. The field of AI is constantly evolving, and there's always more to learn and explore. Ready to take your AI skills to the next level? Join our free WhatsApp community. That's the perfect transition. So now we've essentially generated the entire blog. So what you guys do after this might entirely change or be totally different. That being said, I'll show you guys what I do. The first thing that I do is I send it to another workflow to generate a bunch of Twitter posts. Now, you guys don't have to do that, but I will cover that in a later tutorial. At this point, my articles get split between the ones that have code tutorials and the ones that don't have any code in them. I know a lot of you probably aren't using code, so this top one here probably isn't relevant to you. For me, it's relevant because I would like to ensure that the code is included in the blog post itself, and code inside of WordPress needs to be formatted a very specific way, so I had to change the prompt of the formatting. This article, however, has no code, so we're going to show you guys how to use the simpler side of the workflow for now. Which brings us to our very first and only ChatGPT node in the entire workflow. And this is because ChatGPT is not good at English, it's not good at copywriting, but it is really good at formatting and it's pretty good at analyzing things. So we're choosing the AIs based on what their strengths are. So for this one, go ahead and go to platform.openai.com/playground/assistance. Yes, I use an assistant for this one. I find that it works a little bit better than the AI agent itself. And I have this beautiful prompt, which basically outlines how I need the article formatted for my WordPress. I tell it that we're using Gutenberg and Astra format. I'm telling it not to remove or change any of the blog content. I'm telling it to format it, and I give it a quick formatting guide. Here's bulleted list, here's code blocks, here's some paragraphs, and some headings. Then we add an OpenAI node. And in this node, we're going to be messaging an assistant here from the list, and I gave the name right here, blog formatter. I have two actually. This one is the no code blog formatter. The only difference here is this one doesn't have any code blocks, so the AI doesn't get confused. So what we're doing is we are going back to the main article. We're dragging and dropping that there, and we're only formatting the main part of the article because the intro and the outro will be formatted slightly different, so we do them separately. Let's go ahead and test it out. Wonderful, and as you can see, it did output a article in HTML/WordPress format. Don't really know what it looks like yet because we haven't posted it yet, but let's just assume it worked. Next, we're going to format the intro and the outro. So you can copy and paste the outro node here and paste it here. Looking at the structured output parser, we're going to have two outputs, one for intro, one for outro. Both are strings. Then the prompt is going to look like this. Your job is to format the following intro and outro paragraphs using HTML tags. You can also take links and turn them into nice CTA texts. Do not add emojis. Then I gave it a quick styling guide for text and paragraphs. And then I told it you need to output two responses in JSON format, one for the intro and one for the outro. Here's the intro, here's the outro. And then I went ahead and I dragged the outro here like that. And then I found the intro and I dragged that there like that. So let's test that out. And we have an intro here formatted in HTML, and we've got an outro here formatted also in HTML. Now you guys might be wondering, why did we use Claude for this one, but we didn't use Claude for the other one? Well, because WordPress has weird formatting, and Claude kind of doesn't understand it. And so if you give it HTML and tell it to format in HTML, it does pretty well. But since my WordPress has very specific formatting, and I made a template guide based on my WordPress, it wants to format it a specific way. And that's why we use ChatGPT. Now we have to generate the tags and the categories. So here, copy and paste the last node, and we've got a structured output parser. This one's a little bit different. We have a category, which is an integer, and then we have tags, which is a list. Anything in brackets like this is a list of strings. Now here the prompt is a bit more complicated. It's saying it needs to generate 1 to 5 tags and pick one category. You must provide the category and tags as an ID. Here are the categories, here are the tags. Now I exported these out of my WordPress, so let me show you how I got these IDs and tags. So in order to do that, I added some quick code to my functions.php inside my WordPress. So go ahead and log into your WordPress. Go down here to Appearance and then go Theme File Editor. Then click on functions.php. Scroll all the way down to the bottom. And I went ahead and added a quick export function right here. Function export terms data. This code is in my blog, so just be sure to copy paste it down below. Once you've updated the code in your WordPress, go ahead and visit this URL right here. When you visit that URL, you will download a file, and the file will look like this. Now, we don't need the slug, so we can delete that. Now you have your categories, your category IDs, and your post tags with their respective IDs. So you can take these, you can copy paste them, and you can put them directly into your prompt like I did here. When you're done, make sure that you delete the code that I just told you to add. There's no real reason to keep it in your theme. So once you're done using it, go ahead and delete it, update the file, and you should be good to go. Jumping back into n8n, let's go ahead and test it out. And we can see we do have a category now and some related tags, so we're good to go. The last thing we need to do is we need to connect n8n to WordPress and post a blog. So let's go ahead and add a new WordPress node, just like that. Click create a post, and I'm gonna add a new WordPress account. Now for this, we need to make an application password. So go ahead and go to users, click on profile, and scroll all the way down here to add a new application password. Give it a name. Go ahead and grab that app password. And with that password, go ahead and put your username, which is the administrator email, put the application password and the URL to your WordPress blog without the WP admin or anything else, and click connect, and you should be good to go. Now that that's connected, let's jump in and configure the node. So we're doing a post resource with Operation Create. The title we're grabbing from the title here. You can just drag and drop it. And then we start adding additional fields. Now when you add an additional field, it'll give you these ones here. So you can choose here the author by drop down. The content here. Now for this one, I did it a little bit differently because I'm first featuring the YouTube video at the top of the article. So I put some code to feature the YouTube video, and I just included the YouTube URL right here, which is in the final data right here. So I just dragged and dropped that right there, and that embeds the YouTube video into the top of the article. Now you have to put the link twice because of the way my plugin and theme works. Your theme might work differently, so you might need to format this slightly differently. After that, I grab the intro, the article, and the outro here one by one, grabbing it from the format intro and outro and the format article no code. Just drag and drop just like that. That is the post itself. Then the slug here, we're grabbing from the title AI. Just drag and drop that in. Category names and IDs are from the last AI. You just put the category name. Now this one is a little bit different because when you drag and drop it, it's going to look like this and it's going to error. What you need to do is you need to put parse int and then the name of the node previously, which is tags and categories 1, .item.json, .output.category. So it's .output.category. Okay, so this one turns it into a number instead of a string so that it can select the right category. Now for tag names or IDs, you essentially need to do the same, except for you need to put .join with a comma and a space. So we get this result here. And if you drag and drop here, it's kind of the same. I just called it by name, tags and categories 1, which is this name here, .item.json, and then you've got your .output, which is here, and your .tags, which is here, and then .join. Essentially, this is the same as this. They both should function the same. You can see right here, it is working the same. This is my code, this is the other code, same thing. So that's a good lesson for you guys. If you guys ever need to call a node by name using code, you can just put $, some parentheses, and then the name of the node in quotes, .item.json. Anything that comes after that depends on this. So this is output, so that's why it's .output. And this is tags, so that's why it's .tags. And then here we're joining them together by a comma and a space. And with that, we should be good to go. So let's go ahead and test the step. And it looks like it executed successfully. So let's look and see what that looks like. Now this AI always posts the article as a draft. You can put another WordPress node afterwards to make it public. I like to review these. I have my assistant review them and do any spell checking and things like that. However, the articles come out pretty good and she doesn't generally need to do a lot of work. Being said, let's go ahead and check it out. And as you can see, it looks pretty good. We've got our nice call to action here. It's formatted well. We've got the YouTube video being featured here. There is a little bit of SEO work that needs to be done using Yoast SEO. But that being said, you can't really avoid that because you're going to have to do a little bit of extra work. And when I mean extra work, I mean using Yoast, which is all the way at the bottom here. If you're not using Yoast, you can make the article more SEO friendly without needing to. That being said, we use Yoast, so there is a little bit of aftermarket finishes that we need to do on the AI generated article. Now that we got one blog to post, let me show you the differences between the other two workflows that we have here. So this one, The main difference that we're looking for is we're generating the workflow first. So this is to generate documentation on the workflow. It's a pretty long prompt, but basically it's saying take the n8n workflow that I give you or the code that I give you and generate well-structured documentation for the workflow. These are the things that I want you to include. Here's an example of the format that I want. And then I give the workflow, but I make sure to put JSON stringify in front here. That turns the object, as it was previously, into a string. And I'll show you the object here. In the final data, it is this object right here, which is empty in this case, but it is essentially a JSON workflow. So if I was to go here and click download, it would give me the exact file that I would use to generate the documentation. Then we use the article constructor here, which is a little bit different. This one combines the documentation from the code with the previously written article together. So I'm telling it not to remove any part of the code summary itself, to combine the two articles and structure them together, to give links, things like that. And then I provide the main article and I provide the code documentation that was generated separately, and it will come with an article that fuses the two together for a seamless user experience. Then we format the article, which is exactly the same. In fact, all of these nodes are exactly the same as these ones. So that is essentially the same. The reason why I don't hook it up like this is because it will error based on the way it works unless we put an edit node, which kind of a pain. It's easier just to do it this way. Yes, there's a little bit more nodes here, but being said, it's a little easier. Now this workflow here, the main difference is the prompts right here, because I realized that when I post a podcast video, it tries to word it as a tutorial or something. It doesn't quite word it right because of the prompts I was using. So the main difference between these ones here is the prompts that we're using. Title, basically the same, except for I give it a title format because it's about a certain guest. Now the information that's coming in, just to show you guys, is the transcript, which is the same as before, YouTube URL, same as before. Difference here being we also have a guest name for the podcast guest. So we supply that in here, we give it the guest name, we tell it which episode we're on, and here's the transcript. Then the intro stays almost exactly the same. I just added a little bit of verbiage down here for the guest. The main article prompt here, however, changes quite a bit because I noticed the AI was making a lot of versions of the article where it just talked about the guy's story, like here's how I grew up, and that's it, but not the actual impact he provides on the world and some of the interesting questions that I asked him and his responses in the podcast. So I changed the prompt here to account for that. The outro is essentially the same, still offering the same CTA, and everything after here is exactly the same. We are outputting to make Twitter posts, and we're formatting and pushing to WordPress. Now, as you guys can see, you can customize these 4 prompts right here to fit your article type. Each article type is going to have slightly different prompts in there, but using the psychology tricks that I gave you guys earlier, you guys should be good to go. Thank you guys so much for the love. I hope that this video helped you guys out. If you guys would like a little bit more support with your automation journey, I am hosting a free WhatsApp group for anybody who's obsessed with automation and AI. So be sure to check that out, and we'll see you guys next time.